All aboard, track 15.
The Copper Canyon, or Barrancas del Cobre, is part of the Sierra Madres in the state of Chihuahua of northwestern Mexico. The best known way to access the deep recesses of this section of the Continental Divide is by way of the Ferrocarril Chihuahua Pacifico, the passenger train affectionately called El Chepe. El Chepe runs for hundreds and hundreds of kilometers. Lifting out of Chihuahua City, it climbs to more than 8,000 feet above sea level before descending, twisting, and even looping back over itself through 37 bridges and 86 tunnels, until it reaches the Sea of Cortez near Los Mochis in Sinaloa State. In February 2020, we took a bus from the Texas border town of Ojinaga and arrived in the city of Chihuahua the day before our train departure on El Chepe. Capital of the largest state of Mexico, Chihuahua is a modern industrial city. It felt refreshing to be back in Mexico, walking the historic center of a city that was completely new to us. Beautiful colonial architecture reached up into the blue sky, and locals made us feel welcome. Mexicans danced in norteño music in the open square. Competitive breakdancers were entertaining and fundraising at traffic intersections. As you will find in any Mexican city, there is plenty of eye candy in the plaza, often within the shadows of the main church or cathedral. Well, it's about that time to get on board our train. No, not that one. Once outside Chihuahua, we spent the first 150 kilometers passing through an area that's perhaps best known for its queso Menonita, a semi-soft cheese named after Mennonite farming communities of northern Mexico. We made a stop in Cuauhtémoc, which is an important center for lumber and agriculture, especially apples. Sadly, alongside goods readied for rail transport were many young homeless men looking for food. Seeking elevation, El Chepe lifted us from open cornfields and into rolling hills and ranch lands. Passing through forestry towns in the highlands, the cool fresh air was scented by pine and juniper and chilled by mountain streams and rivers. We entered the traditional territory of the Tarahumara, one of the remaining distinct indigenous populations in Mexico. The presence of military police is noticeable in most Mexican communities. This area was no exception. El Chepe climbed to Creel, the touristic center of the Copper Canyon. We spent the better part of the day outside this town visiting with local Tarahumara.
Como changuitos. Espérate, no, lo vas a destrozar. Lo van a destrozar.
The mission and rural Tarahumara settlement of San Ignacio are just a few miles outside Creel. We visited its fascinating rock formations while on these traditional lands. Young craft sellers immediately adopted Catherine and introduced her to rock scrambling. These girls had plenty of energy, and so did Catherine. Near its highest point, the track goes under and then over itself, all within a 1-mile loop. Apparently, there are only 3 places in North America where a railway track is constructed in this way. The Copper Canyon is not one canyon, but better understood as a canyon complex. The entire complex measures 4 times the size of the Grand Canyon in the American Southwest and is almost twice as deep. Our first breathtaking view of one part of the complex came into view at Divisadero. Our hotel room at Posada Barrancas was perched precipitously on the canyon rim that looked down upon the zipline circuit we would enjoy later in the day. The circuit consists of 7 zip lines with a length of almost 5 kilometers, divided into 7 zipline jumps and 2 pedestrian suspension bridges. What an amazing bunch of rides we had. Our return to the rim was by cable car, 3 kilometers in one straight line. Our next stop was Barrancas Station, where we were collected by our host who drove us to the Urique Canyon Overlook, which is situated about a 2-kilometer drop to the village and river of Urique below. The overlook provided an eagle-eye view into the grandeur of Copper Canyon National Park. On the perilous rough ride back to the lodge, we visited a farm and helped to make pozole, the corn-fortified drink of Tarahumara ultra-marathon champions. We also dropped off school supplies, and Catherine made a cameo appearance as a geography teacher. On our way back to the Barrancas railway station, we stopped at Saracawi Mission that dates to the late 1600s. In addition to visiting the church, we bought some dog food for Catherine to do a little mission work of her own for her flock of street dogs. Back on the rails and heading westward for the final leg of our El Chepe tour, the most marvelous marvel in railway engineering has yet to come as we near the station at Temeris. The track is terraced on 3 levels to enable trains to descend into a deep canyon. Now get this, the track passes through a tunnel behind a waterfall before making 3 large loops. In fact, one section completes an angled 180-degree loop descent within the confines of a tunnel. Wow. Like we've come all the way down from behind the cascada.
I know we were up above there.
Yeah. As we continued in the direction of our final stop in El Fuerte, our minds remained aloft in memories of finally experiencing the Copper Canyon by rail. What is truly remarkable is the fact that all what we've seen is only a tiny sliver of the hidden treasures of the Barrancas del Cobre. For now, we'll leave them to the intrepid souls who venture out into this vast territory of the Tarahumara.